welcome to God's 5 Minutes with Pastor Ed Wilson. Reach him at gods5minutes@gmail.com. Now, here's Ed Wilson with God's 5 Minutes.
Hello, friends. The caption for the 16th Psalm calls it a michtam, which translate the inscription on a pillar to David, as if its beautiful words had been thus engraved to keep them in memoriam. The last paragraph reads, I have set the Lord always before me, because he is at my right hand, I shall not be moved. Therefore my heart is glad, and my glory rejoiceth. My flesh also shall rest in hope. For thou wilt not leave my soul in hell, neither wilt thou suffer thine Holy One to see corruption. Thou wilt show me the path of life. In thy presence is fullness of joy. At thy right hand there are pleasures forevermore. If we observe that here in these first two verses there is a very remarkable parallelism, we shall get strikingly the connection between the devout life here and the perfecting of the same hereafter. If we make a little variation in the translation, thus bring it closer to the original, it is, I have set the Lord always before me, says the one. That is the present. In thy presence is fullness of joy, says the other. That is the consequent future. And the two words, which are rendered in the one case before me, and in the other case in thy presence, are so synonymous that we may take them as meaning the same thing. So we might render, I have set the Lord always before my face, before thy faith is fullness of joy. And then, because he is at my right hand, I shall not be moved. I shall be steadied there. At thy right hand are pleasures forevermore. The steadfastness here merges into eternal delights hereafter. So then we have two conditions set before us, and the link between them made very plain. First, life here may be God's presence with us to make us steadfast. And secondly, if so, life hereafter will be our presence with God to make us glad. That's the psalmist's teaching. I have set the Lord always in front of me, before my face. Emphasis is placed on set and always. God is ever by our sides, but we may be very far away from him, and if we are to have him blazing clear and unobscured above and beyond all the mist and hubbub of earth, we must continually keep him in our sight. I have set the Lord. He permits me to put out my hand and place him where I want him, that I may always have him in my sight and be able to look at him calm and blessed. See the steadfastness which God brings. The psalmist's anticipation is a modest one. Because he is at my right hand, I shall. What? Escape sorrows? No. Have my life filled with serenity? No. I shall not be moved. To be able to stand on the spot with steadfast convictions, steadfast purposes, steadfast actions, having overcome all to stand, that is as much as we need. If a person loves God and trusts him and walks with him after the fashion described in this passage, then there will spring up, irrepressible and uncomparable, a conviction in that man's soul that is sweet and strong communion, which makes so much of the blessed and of life must last after death. Anything is conceivable rather than a person who walks with God shall cease to be. Rather, when he is not any more found among men, it is only because God took him. Thus, the emotions and experiences of a truly devout soul are, apart from the great revelation of Jesus Christ, which has brought life and immortality to light, the best evidence and confirmation of the anticipation of immortal life. It cannot be that such an experience as that of the person who loves God and tries to trust him and walk before him is destined to be brought to nothingness with a mere dissolution of this earthly frame. The greatness and the smallness, the achievements and the failures of the religious life, as we see it here, all bear upon their front the mark of imperfection, and their imperfection prophesy and proclaim a future completion. The faith that knits a person to Christ calls for eternity for its duration. He who says, I have set the Lord always before me, goes on to say, therefore thou wilt not leave my soul in the underworld. Have you talked to God today?
You have been listening to God's 5 Minutes with Pastor Ed Wilson. Reach him by email at godsfive-minutes@gmail.com. Tune in next time to hear more encouraging thoughts from God's Word on God's 5 Minutes with Pastor Ed Wilson.